Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Championship Showcase, Secrets for Success from the playing field of competition to the field of life. We are speaking with inspirational sports leaders, former athletes, coaches, administrators, sports psychologists, and related professionals who are sharing their life strategies and empowering messages of hope and purpose to support those athletes that are seeking to make a successful transition from the playing field of competition to the field of life. My name is Dominic Militello, and we're so glad you could join us today. We have an incredible guest, and let's just jump right in. Today we're speaking with Loren Fogelman. Loren is founder of Business Success Solution and is an internationally recognized success expert who helps high-achieving business owners accelerate their bottom line. Results-focused and strengths-based, she motivates her clients to achieve success without sacrificing their lifestyle. Loren is author of The Winning Point, How to Master the Mindset of Champions, an Amazon #1 bestseller. Recognized as a high-performance consultant by the LA Times, Loren delivers the little-known tactics to shift entrepreneurs from average to extraordinary in order to tip the odds for success in their favor. A nationally recognized speaker, she frequently engages entrepreneurial and sports audiences with insights about how to combine purpose, passion, and lifestyle to pursue their ideal business. You can see why it makes sense to have Loren Fogelman with us. Loren, welcome to the Championship Showcase.
Dominic, thank you so much for having me here and really appreciate the kind words.
Oh, you're welcome. We're so glad you can make it, and we know you're busy, and we really appreciate you taking some time from your busy schedule to speak with us on this very important topic. We have some questions for you we'd like to start. Before we get into that, Loren, can you just tell our audience how the information that you're going to be sharing with us today applies to those athletes that are in transition right now from the playing field to the real world, those that will be going through it here before too long, and those that might be struggling in their transition?
Absolutely. Well, as you mentioned during the introduction, I've been working with high-achieving athletes and teams as well as entrepreneurs since at least 2008, and I've been working with high achievers in general since 1986. But what I have seen is people who are highly driven, they're high achievers, they want to go beyond average and really be the top of their game. There's more similarities than differences between athletes and entrepreneurs. So what the skill set that athletes have already developed to really be at the top of their game, that champion mindset, the desire to be fully committed, not leave anything behind at the end of the game or the end of the competition, those things apply to being successful at anything that you choose to do in that next transition. So think about where you were as an athlete and that drive, that mission, whether you were a newbie, whether you were recreational, as you went to that next level, as you went to pro, all that vision continued to be there, and it took you each step of the way so that you can go the full distance. And that's what's going to help you go the full distance and really rise above the competition in your next step as you transition into your profession.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, I've heard you referred to as a high-performance master. How does high performance influence sales and success?
Well, what I will say is, once again, high performance is not only the physicality, you have to be the top of your game, physical to be able to sustain performance for a long duration. So as athletes, we all know about peak performance. You train in a certain way so that the height of your season, you're really at your peak potential. But then after you hit the peak, there's going to be some decline or dip that happens. As far as being able to really sustain your highest potential of momentum for the long run, you need to really be at your peak physically and as well as mentally. So that means that what you want to do is really the self-care, the things that got you to the top as an athlete with training, continuing to stay in top condition, but also having that laser focus, knowing what to tune into and what's going to be a distraction. That's going to give you that edge, and that's what high performance do, whether they're athletes or professionals or anything else that they choose to pursue in the course of their life.
Wow, that makes so much sense, Loren. What is the success solution?
Well, the success solution is actually a series of 5 steps that I've put together from my own experience as a competitive athlete. I was a rower, and then working with coaches, developing my own business, learning from people at the top of their game, and people that have been doing interviews and giving information. So all those things help me to really put together the 5 steps. And the first one is that goals, they tend to really fail as far as delivery for the long run. I think that goals are good and they work for some people, but for people on a mission, there needs to be more. Think about when you were pursuing, you did soccer, right, Dominic?
Yes,
Okay, so think about, when you were pursuing soccer, what was the difference between you going all the way and then someone else who had just as much talent, but they quit? Or when you were under the pressure, and it was in, that last, minute and the, last final point that needed to be made and really staying with it as opposed to caving into the pressure. And what I would say is that goals don't sustain you when it comes to those things that really matter. What you really want to focus on is having that vision and knowing why you're doing it. So that's the first step, is you need to be able to go beyond goals if you're really going to pursue something that you feel purposeful and passionate about. And then the second one is that there's a reason that people quit too soon, and it's because they're unable to manage their energy. They get too caught up in the negativity. They, criticize themselves over and over again. I mean, as athletes, as entrepreneurs, you make more you have more mistakes than you have successes at times, especially in the beginning. And you have to be able to let those go. Otherwise, you're going to end up digging yourself in, and you're going to have a slump professionally, just like you would have a slump if you were doing that during your sport. The third one has to do with the fact that confidence is overrated. I believe that you're going to be asked to do things that are going to stretch you and ask you to be stepping out of your comfort zone. And you might not have the confidence just because you haven't done that yet. So what you want to tap into is that courage. And it's the courage to just do it, to be able to go and push yourself because you already have that skill and you know how to do it. And that's going to serve you no matter what you continue to pursue. The fifth step is the fact that time is finite. We are busy people. And how to be able to manage your time efficiently. I am a results-oriented person. I want people to totally get results. So what I look at is, where is the fluff? And let's go ahead and get rid of it because, it's like guys in the gym. There are some guys that say, I train for 2 or 3 hours. But, if you were really watching them, they are chatting it up for, at least half that time, if not longer. So let's go ahead and remove the things that are not needle-moving activities and focus on what's going to really keep you deliberate and get those results. And then the fifth step is who's on your dream team? Go ahead and align yourself with the people who are going to lift you up, especially when it gets tough or you think that you're going to be think about quitting and going back to something comfortable. And the people who are already doing what you want to do. It's just like when you're training. You don't want to train with the people who are at the same level or below you because it's too easy. That leads to complacency. So what you want to do is train up. Align yourself with those people who are already hitting the numbers that you want for yourself, and that applies to really being successful in that next stage as you're shifting professions. So those are the 5 steps in the success solution, Dominic.
So amazing stuff. And that last one reminds me of my wife because I definitely married up in that situation. So I get what you're saying there. Can you run through those 5 again? Just tell us what they were, not the details, because I was trying to take notes and I don't think I got all of them. So can you just list them off again for us real quick?
Absolutely. The first one is really tuning into your vision and clarity. Goals fail to deliver.
Got it. Okay.
The second one is confidence is overrated.
Confidence overrated. Okay, got it.
And the third one is I'm sorry, the second one is people, why you quit too soon.
Oh, quit too soon, okay.
That's the second one. The third one is confidence is overrated, and you want the courage to succeed. The fourth one is achieving maximum results by managing your time. And the fifth one is the dream team creation.
Beautiful. Excellent, excellent. Well, I'd like to hear more about your background. You mentioned you were an athlete and how you became a high-performance expert.
For me, I have been a therapist since 1986, so I've been working with high-achieving individuals who get in their own way and get unstuck and help them to be able to turn that negative into a positive. So instead of feeling the resistance, they're moving forward. And what I love most is that when people are willing to step out of their comfort zone and really take some risk, be able to see what they're totally capable of doing, then they get charged up. They're really engaged. They're willing to put in the effort. And that's what I've been helping people with since 1986. But two things happened to me around 2008. And one was that I was looking to move in a different direction. My husband and I owned a counseling agency, and it was time for me to get away from the therapy part and focusing on the problem. Just didn't really gel with me. So I began looking, and my search landed me into business coaching. That was where I knew that I was going to be able to best serve people. But at the same time, I also became a competitive rower at 44 years old. And I will say between rowing competitively and moving this new business endeavor, I was being stretched all the time. I was totally out of my comfort zone. And I absolutely loved it. One of the things that I recognized during that time was that if it was uncomfortable, then I absolutely ought to be doing it. And being able to gain that insight was a game changer for me. That's when so much of the resistance just started to melt away, and I was stepping up as opposed to pulling back. Also, what happened, maybe like within a couple years, is because the competitive rowing athletes saw the results that I was getting, and I then started working with athletes as I was also growing my business coaching practice, doing sports psychology. That's when I wrote my book, The Winning Points. I was able to see that high achievers, whether they're athletes or entrepreneurs, they're cut from the same cloth. They use the same skills, and what athletes develop to become number one and own the competition helps entrepreneurs be able to be successful. And what entrepreneurs do to be able to step up as leaders applies to athletes being really able to work together as a team when they're working to really go the full distance. So that is what helps me to kind of get to where I'm doing this today, working with entrepreneurs on developing their mental game, getting those strategies and the tactical steps so that they have the whole game plan and they're able to really successfully pursue whatever drives them.
Well, it's such great information. I wish I had known you 20 years ago, because I was under the understanding, or I had the belief system, that being out of my comfort zone meant that I had to suffer, or I didn't have the confidence or the abilities to go through it. Had I had a new belief system of being being outside of my comfort zone was actually a good thing, maybe my transition wouldn't have been such a traumatic experience. So those are really, really good points for those that are listening, that if you're uncomfortable, use that as a positive and a motive. Know you're in the right place if you're uncomfortable. It just means that something good's about to happen, from what I'm hearing you say.
Right. And I will also say what I was able to see with me facing, just going head on right into my own wall at times, was that it wasn't that I didn't want to do something. It was more that I was trying to do something that may have worked for somebody else, but I just was wired a little bit differently than that other person's way of doing things. And so once I was able to figure out how to get those results that felt genuine and authentic for me, then a lot of the resistance absolutely falls away.
Nice, nice. Well, what are some of those key elements to the success solution?
Well, what I would say is that the key elements is, first of all, recognizing that success is messy. To realize that there are more mistakes that happen as you're moving forward because you're really pushing yourself to do what most other people wouldn't do. So it goes back to the 5 steps that I talked about before, where you really want to connect with that vision. Just like you might use mental imagery or visualizing before you go into a competition or an event, that same visualization strategy works for really stepping up and moving forward in your business or whatever that transition is that you're looking to make. I will say that there are people who will tell you that you can't do it that way, it can't be done, that's not what people will invest in. And my sense is, if you're feeling called to do something and you're really passionate about it, then there's a way to be able to make it happen and to make it happen in a way that's profitable. So it's really about having that vision. Once again, it's about turning a negative into a positive. Don't let those obstacles stop you because they're really just illusions. And there's always...
No, go ahead.
There's always someone else who is able to step up and move forward where maybe you're holding back. So similar to watching tapes on somebody else who has a better technique than you do with your particular sport, find someone who is already moving forward where you're feeling stuck so you can model them. That third one is, once again, don't let lack of confidence stop you. That's why I love working with athletes, because they understand the value of coaching. They don't have to know all the answers, and they also realize that there's things that other people can see about them that they just can't see themselves. So really look at the fact that just like coaching helps you be top of your game as far as an athlete does, it works for your profession as well. In fact, even though I do business coaching, I continue to invest in coaching myself, because what I have found is that when I have more questions than I have answers, it's frustrating, it wastes a lot of my time, and it also costs me money. So continue to really invest in the coaching. It just puts you on the fast track moving forward. And then the other thing is that, when you're busy, get rid of the fluff. There are things that you might be doing that just aren't going to advance you, and to recognize that there's a difference between working in your business versus working on your business. And working on your business is the strategy and the things that are going to help move you forward. And once again, the last one is getting together that dream team. Who are the people that you want to surround yourself with? And really make a conscious decision to do that.
It makes so much sense, applying the things that athletes use to get to the highest levels like you're talking about, and just apply them to their everyday or to their new career, to their new endeavor. And oftentimes I think athletes feel like they have to, because it's a new venture or new direction, that they have to forget about everything that they use to get them to the highest levels or the elite level of athletics. But there's a lot of crossover there, like you're talking about, that you can apply, the positive visual imagery. Okay, well, maybe you're not visualizing the game from start to end in your performance. Maybe you're visualizing that new business that you want to start, or partnering with somebody, or doing volunteer work, and visualizing those kind of things. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely. And it's a discovery process. What you think is going to be the end game is going to be really different than what actually happens. It's similar to having a game plan or your playbook. How often do you have plan A, but then things don't go as planned, or you have equipment that breaks, there's a delay in the start, or something else happens, and you didn't prepare for plan B, C, or D. So I just want to say that those things are true moving forward professionally, that what you think is going to be the end game and what's going to actually happen, two different things. So make it more of a living plan that is flexible and can be adjusted as you gain new insights, awareness, and new opportunities arise for you.
Well, one of the most popular forms of goal setting is what is known as SMART goals. But some say SMART goals need to be tweaked a little. What are your thoughts?
I am on war with SMART goals. I don't think that they work for high achievers, entrepreneurs that are really looking to make a difference in other people's lives in some ways. So just to give you some background, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. And for people that are high achievers, they don't want something that's achievable. So SMART goals, coming from a neuroscience point of view, accesses the organization systems part of your brain. And because of that, they tend to be very static. Either you're failing or you're succeeding, very, very black and white. The other thing is that they're uninspiring because they're based upon some type of metric, usually numbers in some way or amounts. And metrics are outside of your control. It's similar to if you want to, if you're a runner and you want to be able to run a sub-4 mile, it's not so much focusing on just the sub-4 mile as your goal. It's about what are the actions and the efforts that will help to make you a sub-4 runner. So it's really shifting the fact that those numbers aren't the only thing that are going to sustain you, especially when it gets tough. The other thing is that if you're focusing on something attainable, it keeps you in your comfort zone. You didn't get to where you are by just playing or training within your comfort zone. You needed to build muscle and break down and tear down muscle to build it up. So staying within your comfort zone isn't going to help you achieve those best results. And once again, goals tend to be externally driven. SMART goals were created around the 1970s or so for corporate America because they recognized that most people that were working for corporate America were just a paycheck. They were just doing enough to be able to get the job done and keep the pressure off of them. So corporate America recognized that their shareholders were not getting as much money on their investment as they could have, and they put these SMART goals in place to get 3 to 5% increased productivity from their workers, which would have meant millions to the bottom line on big corporation. But I will let you know, as a high achiever, as someone who is on a mission, 3 to 5% isn't enough. We really need to go for the really big, scary one that makes you feel uncomfortable. So that's part of the reason why I believe SMART goals don't sustain people who are really trying to make a difference in the world.
Well, now you really have my curiosity up, Loren. So how can we set goals that continue to inspire us beyond the first 30 days, or what can be done to improve the outcome?
What I would suggest is you want to go ahead and find something that's meaningful for you, something that gets you excited. And that might mean that you might stay involved in the sports world in some way, or you might go in a totally new direction. But what has meaning for you that's going to keep you going for the long run? Similar to why it was so important for you to turn professional as far as an athlete when most people don't. So find something that really drives you, that utilizes your gifts and your talents. And the gifts and talents that you have as an athlete, they are really important. Don't discount them. So figure out what really lights you up. The other thing is that when you're thinking about that and you're looking for what that transition is for you, go for something that excites you, but also is going to push you out of your comfort zone. I want you to be slightly uncomfortable when you're deciding what it is that you want to move towards, because it is so meaningful and it really connects with what your areas of brilliance, what your gifts are. And the next part is you're not sure how you're going to achieve it. It's similar to when young children who are 8 or 10 see the Olympics for the first time and decide, I am going to do that. And they make that decision at 8 or 10 years old, and that drives them for the next couple of decades to be able to achieve that. Well, I'll let you know, at 8 or 10 years old, they don't know how they're going to achieve that.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But they have that vision. They can see themselves absolutely standing on top of the podium, having a gold medal hung around their neck. And they don't care about the how. They're just focused on the end game of achieving that particular milestone in their life. And that's what I want to encourage the people that are listening to us today, Dominic, is to really focus on what they are working towards, not how they're going to get there.
So powerful. Thanks, Loren. You're listening to the Championship Showcase, and we're speaking with Loren Fogelman. Loren, is there something better than a goal then?
Well, it goes back to what I was originally talking about. Tap into the vision. Create the vision of what you want to have your life be like. And as you're moving out of sports, you might not know what you want to do, and that's okay. You can still create a compelling vision for yourself. And what you want to focus on is more of the qualities that you want to have in your life, the parts of your strengths. So let's come up from a strengths-based point of view. You know, what are those characteristics that you have that are what set you apart, that make you a winner? And how do you want those to be utilized in the next step that you're taking as you transition? So go ahead and think about what is that quality of life, maybe what is that quality of work, the types of people that you want to be serving, or who you want to surround yourself with as far as associates, and what are your strengths and how do you want them to be either recognized and or utilized. So that's what I would say is go with the vision, even if you don't know exactly what you want to be doing yet.
You know, it's really interesting because I think for most of us, most of our listeners, they've had this whole idea of having a goal kind of driven, right? Whether it's putting the poster or having that vision board, that, you know, that picture up on your wall that you want to achieve, but it's always been about goal, achieve your goal. So what's the difference between goal and a vision?
Well, the goals, as I said, accesses your organized and systemized part of your brain, and that's fine. But a vision accesses the creative part of your brain. And that's the one that's going to be innovative and looking for the opportunities that you might not see otherwise. It's part of what really sustains you as you're moving through this transition to really going the full distance as opposed to succumbing to depression. It's never going to change. You want to numb yourself, so you might start drinking too much or getting high or doing other things that are self-destructive to be able to kind of numb out that feeling of hopelessness. And so with the vision, what it has is all the elements that keep you engaged because it's based upon story and emotions more than tactics and doing. Because you're moving in a direction that you feel compelled to move in, you're going to go ahead and stick with it even when it's uncomfortable, similar to going the full distance to becoming a professional athlete. The other thing is that with a vision, and I'm sure that you know this from visualizing as an athlete, is the best visualization is when all of your senses are engaged. When you can really look at that end result and you can think it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can taste it, you can smell it. I mean, it just brings it to life. And you're seeing it happening as if it's in the here and now, right now, because studies have shown that when you use visualization effectively, you're having muscle twitches as if you were doing that very action. The other part is it's similar to dreaming. When you're having this dream, you totally feel like you're in it in the moment and you're going through all the motions and you're fully experiencing it. And that's because your brain is unable to tell the difference between a dream and reality. So when you can really create that compelling, vivid vision, then your mind's going to start seeing it as if it's happening right now. the other thing is that as professional athletes, so often you're high achievers. And as soon as you hit one milestone, you're just moving on to the next one because there's always more to do, or you want to keep your edge. You don't want someone to be coming up behind you and claiming your spot. So what I would say with this transition is when you hit a milestone, make sure you celebrate those small successes which are tucked into the larger vision because they serve a purpose. And the purpose is that, first of all, you put effort and energy into getting to this particular milestone. It deserves acknowledgement for everything you've done to get here. But the other thing is that later on down the road, as you're moving forward again, you're going to come up against another challenge. And if you can look back on this current one and recognize that you were able to overcome the challenges and have that next leap of success, you can then say, I did it then, I have what it takes to go the full distance now, and I've got it, and you're moving on. So really take that time to go ahead and celebrate those small successes. And what I have seen with a particular client who's coming to mind is that when she first started her business, she had a home business. And what happened for her is that by being at home, there were just too many distractions with other responsibilities, and she wasn't focused enough. So what we did is we looked at what it is that she really wanted to do, and for her, it was really making a difference in her particular industry and focusing on being a leader that others will go ahead and follow. And because of that, she then moved her business out of her home into an office. She started building a team around her that shared her vision. And just, I would say, 2 weeks ago, she got nominated within her industry as the third place for a particular contest she entered that was really showing the most innovative leaders in her particular industry. So within like maybe a year and a half, she went from a home-based business to being recognized as a leader to watch in her industry because she had that compelling vision and she was ready to make the sacrifices in order to be able to move forward where other people would just wait and hope that an opportunity was handed to them. So I will just say that it doesn't have to take a long time, but knowing the vision is going to be what helps to get you there.
So much information, so much powerful information, Loren, that you're providing us today. So thank you very much. One thing that comes to mind as you're talking, well, two things come to mind. One, I remember as a young boy growing up in Los Angeles, going to a professional soccer game as a ball boy when they played in the Rose Bowl. And when you're talking about visions and using all your senses, I used to imagine myself while the game was going on and I was standing on the sidelines waiting for the ball to come out so I could throw it back into the players that I was actually playing. And I would look around the stadium and see the crowd in the stadium. And when I went home that night, I would visualize and I would go to bed. And instead of the players on the field, I put myself on the field in my dreams. And I still remember those dreams very vividly, even to this day. So the power behind what you're talking about is so powerful, and really appreciate it. Here's one thing the other thing that came up for me is that obstacles happen, right? I mean, you do have some things that come that, as you're on this journey, like you were talking about. What are the three, or what are some responses to obstacles that you might be able to help anybody who's listening deal with?
Right. Well, like I said, success is messy. Things will happen that will throw you off, or it's like running straight into that brick wall, and you know that there's something really important on the other side, but you have to make a decision. And when you hit that brick wall, people will respond in one of three ways. The very first person is going to just slam into that brick wall, and they're going to say, I can't do this. This is not what I was meant to be doing. This is a sign that I shouldn't be moving forward. It wasn't meant for me. It can't happen. It's not going to work. And they just retreat. They go back to how things were, even though that might not have been very satisfying for them. So those are the retreaters. And then that second person who runs into that brick wall slams into it also, but what happens for them is they're like, okay, I know that I can make it to the other side, and I'm going to go ahead and do some research. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to go ahead and figure out my game plan. And then once I have all those answers, then I'll get back in the game and move forward. With those people, they tend to be controlling. So let's just go there. They tend to be control freaks because they want to know every single step of the way, even though they haven't done it yet, because they don't like surprises. And so once they figure out their game plan, they'll go ahead and start to move forward and progress again. But as far as that goes, they've lost momentum. There might be someone hungrier than they are who's moving in that very same direction. And by losing momentum, they might lose their edge with moving forward as fast as they possibly can, going the full distance. So those people, once they get it, they'll move forward again. And then the third person also slams into that brick wall, but what happens for them is they're not letting it stop them. They understand the importance of maintaining momentum. It takes so much less energy to keep on moving forward, and they're looking for any way around it, above it, through it, whatever it takes, no matter what, because they are fully committed to going the full distance and not letting that stop them. And those are the people across the board, whether it's athletics, whether it's business, whether it's in their personal life, that tend to be the top 1% that are most successful, and those people are called the implementers. So you have the retreaters, the marinators, and the implementers. And I think what's really cool, Dominic, is that even if in one part of your life you might be a retreater or a marinator, but you feel really committed as to why you're moving forward, you can be an implementer, and you will be when it really matters to you.
Wow. Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, I can see that your techniques inspire people to stick with their challenge and to achieve their numbers, which is fantastic. Do you have any advice for dealing with setbacks, especially the doubt, fears, and failures that occur while rising to the top?
Well, once again, let's just go with the theme of success is messy. And for people that are on a mission, they're going to move forward no matter what. There will be mistakes and there will be setbacks, failures, disappointments. It's part of what's necessary in order to keep on moving forward. So what I like to do is to teach entrepreneurs how to have a new spin on failure, and instead of seeing it black and white as if you're winning or you're failing, to recognize that there are so many successes that are tucked into a mistake or failure, and to be able to recognize that there's a lot that probably went well and that you can learn so much because you took the risk, because you moved forward and you were willing to fail, then in spite of it. The other thing to look at is when things don't work out as planned, don't beat yourself up. Don't, get too critical of yourself or dwell on that mistake, replaying it over and over and over again in your mind, because replaying a mistake over and over and over again in your mind is visualizing. So you're actually giving your brain a negative visualization instead of a positive one.
Wow.
So really replaying those mistakes does not work in your favor. That's how athletes tend to get into slumps. The next thing is that you want to really seek mastery. And this is similar to sports as well as being an entrepreneur. And what I love about the people who are pursuing mastery is that they recognize the fact that they are students first. There's always more to learn. There's always more that can be done. There's always the next thing that you can stretch yourself to become. So go ahead and take that mastery mindset with whatever you pursue next, and recognize it's not that you achieve the top and then you're done. It's similar to being at the top of your game in your particular sport. The athletes that reach number one and then think that they've got it and that they don't have to work any harder, they become complacent. And that's like their downside, because there's somebody else hungrier to win than they are at that point. So really always being that student-first mindset. And the last part of it is that even when things don't go as planned, you didn't hit your numbers, you didn't achieve that income level that you were looking for or gain that new client that you're hoping to pursue, whatever it might be, to recognize that you did so many other right things and to recognize where you actually excelled, even though you didn't get the outcome that you were expecting, and where to make certain adjustments so that next time you're in a similar situation, you will have a winning outcome. So that's part of what I really look at is how to put a new spin on failure.
And it really sounds to me, Loren, like you just saying, listen, you have options in all things, whether you've achieved whatever it is you're achieving, like you say, your numbers or that job or that business, or if you didn't, there's options. It's not the end of the world just because you didn't get this or didn't achieve that or you had a setback or what have you. So is that what I'm hearing you say, that there's options in all things?
Absolutely. And John, that's part of what you're alluding to, and I really want to kind of pluck it out and bring it to where we can see it more, is some of the best moves you're going to make that will catapult you are born because of failure. So I know from my own experience that when I went ahead and really leaped to that next level in my business or with the clients that I work with, it's because something didn't go as planned, and I then, instead of dwelling on it and beating myself up and thinking I should quit and get a job or something like that, I was able to look at, what was working, what is it that I really want to accomplish, and then I was willing to adapt things in order to move forward as opposed to staying stuck in a failure.
Wow, wonderful. Great stuff. We're just about out of time, Loren. A couple more questions, and I have a question for you that you may not have thought about prior. So what do you see your role as a leader, and what is your legacy that you want to leave for others?
My role as a leader is to really help people get unstuck and get out of their own way. But what I've seen from working with athletes as well as entrepreneurs is that there's so many different ways that we can go, and then other people will put their stuff on you. And when you're lacking the confidence, you're not able to access your courage, you hesitate. And when you hesitate, then the opportunity can be lost. Similar to when the ball was thrown to you in the last moments of a basketball game. You either take the shots or somebody might take the shot for you. And what I want to say is that works as far as entrepreneurs go also. So really the thing that drives me is I don't want people wondering later on what if and regretting that they didn't take the shot. So I love helping people get out of their own way, turn those negative beliefs where they don't feel that they deserve it, that they can't do it, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing, and let's get out of your own way and get you unstuck so that you can move forward and really do what you're actually meant to be doing next.
So awesome. Well, everyone, we certainly hope you've enjoyed our conversation with the incredible Loren Fogelman. Loren, you've shared so much with us today. What do you have for our listeners that would like more information from you?
Well, I put together a special book, and it's called Grow Your Ideal Six-Figure Business. In the book, I go through the 5 steps that we reviewed earlier about vision setting, managing your energy, being able to be courageous when you don't have the confidence, managing your time effectively, and creating your dream team. That's all in the Grow Your Ideal Six-Figure Business book, and you can get that at businesssuccesssolution.com/success. Great.
And we'll definitely have a link on our site here, so any of the listeners can just click on the link and be able to download that book from Loren Fogelman. Any last thoughts or comments, Loren, before we have to sign off?
I will just say that if you believe that you ought to be moving forward, then go for it. And to know that there's a difference between interested and committed. The people that are just interested will only do what's convenient. The people who are truly committed will do whatever is necessary. And with whatever you choose to do, find the true commitment so that you can succeed.
Such wonderful information. We appreciate your time with us, Loren. You've been listening to the Championship Showcase, Secrets for Success, from the playing field of competition to the field of life. We want to thank Loren Fogelman for joining us, and we encourage those of you who feel you might need some assistance through your career transition, please get the necessary help you need. You have purpose and you have value. For now, we wish you all the best always. Loren, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.